Hey, everybody, can you hear me? It says the media center is muted.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, ma'am. Now I can.
Okay.
How are you? Hey, Mr. Campbell.
Good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
Fine, ma'am.
Got it. Just in a minute. It's 4:30 now. 4:30.
We'll call this meeting to order. And the first item is approval of today's agenda.
I think the first item is the Pledge of Allegiance, no?
Yes.
Or things.
We have it reversed on the,
On our.
Yeah.
paper.
on a hard
Yeah.
copy, but
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
oops. One of the cameras is frozen.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The liberty and justice for all. Okay,
That's funny.
thank you. Yeah. Approval of today's agenda. The motion,
I move that we approve the agenda for the Legislative Committee, February 2nd, 2023.
second. Okay, any discussion? Seeing none? All in favor?
Oops. Oops, there it's back.
Can you hear us?
I couldn't hear you for a
Can
bit.
you hear
Now
us?
I can hear you again.
Yeah.
Okay. We lost you
Okay.
all. Good.
All right,
Okay.
all right. Do we have any public comment?
No, it's a motion to approve the agenda for the legislative agenda for 2023.
Yeah,
It's made by Rachel, a second by Chloe. And you were just taking the vote when we lost everyone. So.
I approve the agenda. I vote in favor.
Okay,
all right, thank you.
all right, and no public comments.
No public comment. Okay, we need approval for the agenda for June the 15th, 2022.
I move that we approve the June 15th, 2022 committee meeting minutes.
Get a second.
I second.
Okay, any discussion?
I second.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Now we are down to discussion of legislation specifically that reference the authority or work of school board trustees. And Rachel, I think you mentioned that you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yes, sir. So in looking at the list of legislation that is pending that our lobbyists sent over, there was a number of them that reference the authority or work of the school board trustees. I think they're in board docs, and I just wanted to bring those to everyone's attention. Maybe let everybody have some brief discussion on it and see if there's any necessity for us to send a note to our lobbyist or our delegation in regard to any of those so that they are aware of our position. Oops. Media. Sorry, Mr. Campbell, the media center popped out again, so I can't hear you. Hopefully you can hear me. Dr. Glatz, can you hear them?
No, I can hear you fine, but nothing else.
Yeah, it keeps clicking in and out.
Can you hear us?
No.
Now I can. It
Now
keeps,
we can.
it reconnects pretty quickly, but it goes straight to mute. So,
Can you give me 1 second? I'm gonna connect this to Robin's computer. This one's having connectivity issues.
okay, no problem.
Can you hear us?
Little echo.
Yes. Echoey.
How about now?
Now sounds pretty good.
But I can't.
You hear us?
Yes. Can you, Rachel?
Yes, I can hear him.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
now, is that
Now?
better?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this again.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Rachel.
Did y'all hear me, the preface or the kind of the why? That I
No.
said?
Uh-uh.
Sorry about that. Okay, so I had brought this forward because we received a list from our lobbyist of different legislation that was pending. Sorry,
Yeah.
my daughters. They're out of school. Apologies. So that list had a number of items that referenced the authority and work of school board trustees. And I thought it was important that we review those so that we could give any feedback to our lobbyist or delegation regarding what our position is on those. And I think there was just a handful of them. So I wanted us to look at those and give some feedback.
I
The first-
asked Mr. Smoke, who sends out our reports, and he gave me this information, and he pulled this together yesterday for us.
Awesome. I appreciate that and him for doing that. I think the first one is Senate Bill 244 by Senator Kimbrell. I think that one, Robin, if you could bring that one up, is in regard to moving elections of the BOE to a general election cycle. So bringing us in line with the general election cycle. Just like to ask if anybody had any questions or feelings about that one, and I can give mine last if you'd like.
So that means that they would have every board member would have to run at the same time?
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to bring the school board elections to all occur during even numbered general election years, as opposed to, I think right now we've got them kind of staggered, where a portion of the board goes and then the other portion, another 2 years later. It looks like there's some type of phase in language here, and it does allow for the school district to have currently serving, because this would be going into effect, I think, for the 2024 general election. Any currently serving ones gives us the determination of whether or not that person can hold over.
I would not agree. I would not agree with that,
Okay,
because you're talking about, what if you get a completely new board? Everybody comes on as new. They don't have no idea of what is going on within the school district. What do you think, Christine?
I agree with you, Earl. It seems like it's better to have elections every 2 years. So exactly, you don't get an entire, theoretically, you could get an entire new board all at once, which I don't think is really good for continuity and especially for the school district. I also think it's strange that we have, I'm in the group of 4, and that will be our term ends in December of 24, and yet the other group is 7. That just seems really strange to me too, that we're not split 6 and 5, being elected every 2 years.
yeah, I don't know what that's from, if that's from maybe when we had some specials that occurred and
Yeah.
that. Pardon?
No, that wouldn't, it went back years ago, but it wouldn't because of the special, because the special, when you have a special election, it just completes the term of the seat that they're in, and then they run again.
Run. Yeah, I don't know why that's like that. My one reason, so my reason for not being in favor of this is the same as all of y'all's, where it could effectively lead to a completely new school board every 4 years and could stall some of the work and historical knowledge that's going on in the school district. The one reason why I'd be in favor of it is I don't know the answer to this question, is the financial aspect of it and how it could potentially be more fiscally prudent to do it this way. Because I don't know what the cost is involved with running it every 2 years. If you have a decreased cost in running it on a general election year during an even numbered cycle, I don't know the answer to those questions. It could be a savings of hundreds of thousands or not, but which one matters most?
So when the school board runs, you're running on a general election of whatever is coming up. So I can give you the cost of that, because the election is in November, which is still a general election. So it's not a special call. So the cost would be the same because it's a general election.
But is it the same? Is a general election,
Cost
is it cheaper for us in even numbered years?
I have to go look at the number.
Okay.
I have to go look at the number of what the cost, what it
I
is.
feel like I recall it being over $100,000 participation, correct?
I honestly, I can't remember.
Okay.
Chloe and then William.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, and then Christian next.
My question, when we're saying even number years, are we talking presidential elections to run our elections during that time frame?
I believe so.
Right now, we're not doing that,
No.
right?
The group of four is.
So the
So
group of 4 are
Yeah.
right.
who?
It would be for this year, it's like Earl, Christina, Ingrid, and Angela. So
Exactly.
those
Right.
district seats are up. Those district seats run during that time of year. Then the 7 of you all run where you just had the
We
election.
just had the election,
Right.
correct.
So that's what they mean by 7 and 4.
Right.
But it's also when we run, I'm talking about the 7 of us, it's a general election time.
And it's,
So
it's a
not-
general, right, it's a
Right.
general for both.
So they're just not doing it for the board of ed, they're doing it for other county council,
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, the 4 is during the presidential
Yes.
election.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get it onto the presidential election cycle.
okay, Christina?
I was just gonna say, to Ingrid, excuse me, to Rachel's point, Robin, what you could, look up would be, I know Dowling was a special election by himself and so was Stribinger.
Mhm.
Scrivener, Dowling, Cynthia Gregory Smalls was a special.
Yeah, there, you got several to, that would, you could
Several that
find.
were special elections.
My other issue is that if you have a complete 11 member comes on, they could get rid of the superintendent, like they have done in other areas. And, you know, you got a new board, you got to get a new superintendent. You know, that's the reason why, those are the two reasons I cannot support this.
Mhm.
I think that, and I think some of the reasoning, sorry, Mr. Chair.
Mhm. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think some of the reasoning also for this is to encourage more voter participation in school board races because you have a larger voter turnout during presidential election years. So you will by default get more voter participation, which is wonderful. But to our other points, you know, those are things that need to be considered too.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Smith?
I have some concern because my question is, what would make us want to change it? I mean, if it's not broke, then I don't think that we should fix it. I don't have a problem with the way it is right now. Why would we want to change it? And I mean, and having it the way it is, they are. I agree. I definitely agree with Mr. Campbell. But also, you're talking about as just in terms of if you have a whole change up of a whole 4 of everyone on that time, you will still have seasoned people on the board who can help and develop those new people coming in, or also let them know exactly what has occurred versus them not being there. Then I think that you would put the district at a to a disadvantage. I think that I don't think that would be prudent to what we do if we did all 11 at one time. I don't see how that's healthy or how that could be good. I definitely couldn't support that.
All right, thank you. Any more discussion on that issue?
Now, can I just ask as a procedural or maybe what we want to do in terms of these? Do we want to maybe summarize these different thoughts into under each bill and provide those to the delegation or to the full board to then provide to the delegation? Just so they're aware of what our concerns are and maybe they know something we don't, or maybe our lobbyists know something we don't and can provide feedback to us to maybe make us more comfortable with it. I don't know.
Yeah, we could do that and provide and get our concerns to the delegation and also the lobbyists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think we should first just share it with the board and get their input.
Right.
Yeah, for
Before
sure.
we send it on.
Okay. Mr. Chair, would you like me to move to the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
The next one I think is Senate Bill 334, and that was filed by Senator Campson, who's from our area.
Mhm.
This bill was in regard to vacancies on the Board of Trustees and how swiftly those need to be tended to. I think we really just, I didn't necessarily have any large issues with. I think we just need to keep an eye on it to make sure that it does pass. Our present policies don't conflict with it, because I know we do have policies in regard to vacancies and election of officers and things like that. But that was my only comments on this one.
Okay. I don't have no. You have anything?
I do not.
Okay.
Williams, hands up.
Oh.
Williams, hands up.
Mr. Smith?
I don't think he put it down. Oh,
No, I didn't put down, but actually, yeah. Nothing. Don't worry about it. So I agree with it.
Okay.
Do we just want to keep an eye on that one? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think the next one in board docs is House Bill 3318, filed
Mhm.
by Representative King. And this has to do with audits of school districts, and I'll just give my 2 cents real quick on it. I'm not worried about it necessarily for our school district. However, there is a portion of it. I think it's section 8A2 that says two members of a board of trustees can call for the audit, and we have an 11-member school board. So I'm not sure if we want to point out that is maybe not going to be something that is. I'm not sure if that's something that's applicable to all school districts across the state, if it's really necessarily equal in terms of the amount. I think it should read a percentage of a school board personally, not 2 members, but that's just me because we have different quantity across the state.
So it would probably have to be more than 2, at least 5 or 6.
Well, they say 5 members of the General Assembly, which is also rather large if you look in the totality of how many members there are. So I'm not sure what the intent is behind it. We might want to ask our lobbyists further of what the intent is for this, and if there's a way to advocate for changing that number to where it's more uniform and representative of the school districts across the state. We're one of the larger ones. There's others that have, I think, 6 members. So,
You only got 12,
yeah.
so.
Tina's hands up and Williams, hands up.
Yeah.
so my question too, on this one, maybe Robin, if you scroll up to the back of page on here on the screen. So is this, I guess I'm not quite understanding this either, in the sense that we're required to have an annual audit. So is this a forensic audit? What audit are we talking about?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Okay. Yeah, we just need more clarity. Yeah, and I don't understand either why it would only be 2 board members. It seems like it really should be a majority, but that's not the same with from the General Assembly either. I think, wasn't it 5 that was listed?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we need some clarity on what the purpose of this is.
Yeah. So,
We can find out from the lobbyists, and maybe they can give us an answer on that.
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
William?
I didn't mean to put I didn't know my hand was back up. I thought I took it down.
Okay. Anything else which you got you concerned about?
No, sir, that was it. I think we should seek clarity on that one.
Okay. Minnesota.
Okay. And the next one, I think this is the final one, maybe?
No,
No.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yes, it is.
3485.
Okay, yeah. House Bill 3485. This one I think has gotten a lot of attention publicly in the newspaper, multiple different sponsors on this one. It's the Families' Rights and Responsibilities Act. It's my understanding that it largely mirrors the Florida Family Bill of Rights that was filed a couple of years ago. Sorry. And I think, I mean, I don't have any large concerns with it as written presently. I think that the one thing I would encourage us to do is also advocate for a teacher's bill of rights, which is also something that if we're going to mirror Florida on the Florida parental bill of rights, we should maybe look to them as well. They're working on a teacher's bill of rights right now, which would provide for teacher pay protection and a number of other things. But as this is written right now, I don't take any issue with it. I don't believe so.
I agree. I've heard about Florida Families Bill of Rights and Responsibilities, and it's on the cutting edge, so I have no problems with this as is.
I mean, because parents already have, as far as education, healthcare, and mental health of that child, they already do that. So I don't see why we would have to have a law, a bill to change anything.
Well, I think if I can, I think that the challenge is, although parents have that responsibility, there are times when the schools cannot get the parents to take that responsibility. And so the schools end up taking on a responsibility that they should not. Parents they have a responsibility for their child's educational, mental health, welfare. And our social workers will tell you, there are times you can't get them on the phone. You can't get them to take them to the doctor. You can't get them to take the medication. That's what I'm reading, is that we're putting it back where it should be, with some clarity about families' responsibilities. Because sometimes we do kind of overstep because we have to for the protection of the child.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to mention, this bill is in Title 63, which is the Children's Code. You know, that's where that is. So that's very relevant what you're saying, Ms. Gordon. And also under Title 59, which I don't have in here with me right now, but there is a whole chapter in Title 59, like you were saying, Mr. Campbell, dedicated to parental rights and responsibilities. So it would expand this. There's a whole chapter on it.
So any concern as to in favor or not?
I'm in favor of it as it's written. Like I said, I think we should also, when we do put our support behind this, also advocate for them doing something in the future for a teacher's bill of rights as well. I know they're working on teacher pay and things like that, but it's putting our money where our mouth is.
Okay.
I agree with Rachel.
So this would go before we could inform the board of this also.
So this would go in on Tuesday, and when you give the report, then I will have all of these in there.
All right. Anything else?
That was it, I think, for that agenda topic.
Okay.
Can I ask one question, Chair Campbell?
Yes, ma'am.
So Rachel, I'm curious, in Florida, are the teachers unionized?
They are, but I don't think it works the same as in other states. So I know there's some nuance to it. So they are to an extent, but I think there's something that has to do with direct district involvement. And I'm not an expert, so I don't want to overstate anything.
Yeah, okay.
They do
Because I
have-
think also a teacher bill of rights, I mean, you're just seeing nationwide how it's just horrible what teachers have to endure in terms of physical assault even. I mean, it's just not right for teachers to have to be placed in a situation where that can take place. To me, it's awful.
Right. And I think that's what the Florida one also addresses, is some of those instances.
Thank you.
I just want to make one other comment. Under 63-2350C, it says the provisions of the section shall not apply when it has been determined by a physician that emergency exists. And it's necessary to prevent death and the parent can be located, but our nurses have all those protocols. For example, if a child has a seizure, the nurse has to call 911 really fast and get that ambulance there. They're not calling a physician. It's part of the nurse, protocol. So there are times when there is an emergency situation and there's not a physician, on our premises, but we have to immediately say we have an anaphylactic reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't understand that part, because the school nurses do have authority under the Nurse
Mhm.
Practice Act to render aid in a school setting, an emergency situation. So
So can you show us that on this, where you're talking about, Wendy?
it's,
Right here.
see, it's 63-2350C. The provisions of the section shall not apply when it has been determined by a physician that an emergency exists and either of the following is true.
One.
Is that, so Wendy, when the nurses follow that protocol, is that provided by law or statute that they're required to do that?
Well, we have our nursing policy, but under the Nurse Practice Act, if there is an emergency and it's a life or death situation, they've got to call 911.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't, because at anaphylaxis, if we don't act immediately, the child can die.
Right.
Now, usually what happens, though, which protects us, is we have an individual health plan for the child and the parents have consented us for administer that medication. But think about this. What if a child's never had a reaction to peanuts and then they're in the cafeteria and it's the
Right.
first time? We don't have consent. We have an emergency. So I don't know. I would just think into that. We'll just have to get clarification from our lobbyist about
Yeah.
that. Maybe I'm
Mhm.
missing something,
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. That's a good point and something we should definitely check with Lynn about.
Yes, thank you.
I think that was it, Mr. Campbell. On that.
Uh-oh, I think we don't hear him anymore.
Did we lose?
Oh, there we are.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
He
All right.
was just reading.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
All right. You ready for me to move on to the next one?
Yes. Proposed rollover legislation from prior session.
Yeah, so this was something that I asked for also. Mr. Chair, do you want me to start
Yes,
going
ma'am.
through them or? Okay. So, I had asked for this to be an agenda item because items that are rollover typically, get renewed and discussed and sometimes action taken on them. So I thought these would be the most likely to potentially pass this coming session. There is a number of them on here. I don't know if we want to go through each individual one or maybe just pull out certain ones. Some of them are pretty innocuous. I don't know if they necessarily require, we've already talked about the parental bill of rights one.
Do you, Rachel and Chair, do you want to, I also included the latest report that was as of January 26th that Smoke had just sent out. So that I think they just that they went through 2 weeks ago. Do you want to go through the big report or do you want to go through the smaller report? Compared to what's the difference?
Yeah, I guess I don't know the answer as to which ones of these are more further along in the process than others.
Let's see, I can pull up the recent one, January 26th. So this is the most recent one. Can you see?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And these are rollover items, or are these just items currently in committee?
These are items currently in committee.
Okay.
So the second list looks like they're all newer, all introduced.
Right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Robin.
So we don't have a list of those that are further along in the process.
I don't see any.
Okay.
Says refers to committees on one time.
So the first one, the 17-page one is the one that Lynn provided to us. This one just was sent to you all about a week ago.
Right,
Is this one like pre-filed, the big long one?
yeah.
One was the,
Yeah, big long one. That's a lot, bills.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to get it on as a smaller list, maybe from Lynn, to see if we had a list of what was further along in committee, what actually had legs to pass this legislative session was what I was looking for. So if we don't have that for this meeting, we could always revisit at another.
Yeah. We can do that at our next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, that works for me.
do you all want to discuss this at all, or do you want me to take it? What do you want? Or do you want to look at the larger one? Do you want me to keep this one up?
I can't with any level of certainty tell y'all where these are in the process. I would refer to the lobbyist for that. And,
All right. So the question for Lynn is where, take the list that she had provided and let us know where they are in the process.
yeah, those that are most likely to have legs this session.
Mhm.
Okay. And then this is what she sent.
Or the
Was currently being debated in the Senate.
Educational Trust Fund.
Yeah.
Any question about that? Or any concern?
None here.
Okay. What about the House bill? No, that's Senate bill, House and Senate bill. School start date. Do you have a copy of that?
Where's that one?
Of all the legislative priorities.
Is that on the list that Lynn sent on the 26th?
Which list are you looking at, Mr. Campbell?
No, this,
Our priority list.
Oh, okay, we're going to that.
The next one. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're down on the next agenda item. Okay.
Okay.
All right. This is our current legislative agenda and it hasn't been changed since 2020. And from the last meeting that we had in June, some of the suggested items that you all talked about was to include perhaps per Lynn's suggestion was education funding reform, the mental health, continue. You talked about the SRO program. She talked about opioid addictions. And basically, we're going to wait and to see who the superintendent
Right.
was and then come up with your list after that. And so that's where we are on that.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think there might be a bill that was filed in regard to school start dates, so we might be able to swap out those bill numbers from 2020 and look at the new ones. And kind of just regurgitate this, because I don't think the stance has changed. We probably, of course, this is gonna have to be approved by the full board. So I think that the sentiment is largely still the same. So that's my take on the school start date one.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Well, looking at ensuring 90 days of instruction prior to winter break, I am all for that. I'm looking at our calendars, I guess, that will be presented and the way it has been in the past couple of years. With the 80-90 split, we've been doing that like that, where we're getting students who are going to graduate in December out. However, we still have, to me, not a balance, because our can't start school earlier
Right.
in August. And the rationale behind that is ludicrous. So I'm all for students being able to do that 90-90. Teachers, parents, we're looking at like the 22nd or 23rd of December to release our students and staff for winter break. We have parents with court orders for, to have their children at a certain time, during the break, their 2 weeks or a month, whatever it is, but we are violating that. So those kids can't come to school because they got to go to Virginia or Alabama, because we're still in school. And then parents have 1 day to breathe before they can do Christmas. I have a hard time with that. So I am for the 90-90. And I think that we need to take into consideration not just the few graduates. We're not graduating thousands of kids in December. I understand the importance of the senior class, but what about all the other classes? All the other impacts of children who will be sitting in school on the 22nd of December. So let's do the 90-90. And don't let it be a hurricane.
There is legislation's
Yeah.
been introduced to allow, to waive that start date, the third Monday in August, to be able to change that.
I think we should be looking at that. So
Where it
anyway,
stands, but
I'm for 90-90.
makes
Christina?
sense, yeah.
Yeah, just a few comments about the start date. I mean, I think the first sentence is very good. We firmly believe that the school start date should be a local decision. A lot of this would have to be reworded because like last fall, I don't think we had a mandatory evacuation. It's just out of date. You can tell it is. And Chloe can speak to this, but academics had 3 calendars presented to them for 20, it would be the 23-24 year. And I think those are coming to the board right on Tuesday. And right now, I think it's impossible to have 90-90 because of the South Carolina law saying that we can't start before the third Monday in August, that you can't have 90-90 and have classes end before the winter break. So I think this definitely needs to be revised. I think it seems like in the past, the consensus of the board was that we would like to have the opportunity to start earlier for the reasons mentioned. Yeah. Thank you.
And I don't think we have enough district in the state to do that. Because everything is geared on Horry County,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, so.
It's,
Those, we can discuss that and talk about it and with the lobbyists.
So were there other things on here you all wanted to change or add to?
Yeah, I think we need to go through all of them. By the way, there is a bill filed in regard to start dates, House Bill 3317 filed by Representative King. So we might want to look at that. I just pulled it up. The teachers' salaries one, my suggestion for that, Mr. Chair, would
Yeah.
be, because a lot has changed since 2020 for us. We're doing a great job in that regard, but I think maybe we need to reiterate that we support teachers even beyond the salaries, and maybe make mention of the Teachers' Bill of Rights. I think there may be one filed in South Carolina. I don't know what it says. So,
I think they were discussing that. I don't think they passed it yet.
no, they haven't. I think it's only been recently filed, maybe. I just found it a second ago. So that needs to be updated.
Tina's hands up.
Hmm? Oh, Tina?
Yep, along the same lines as what you're saying, Rachel. I agree that should be updated. And I think it would be important to include what we have done for the teachers, especially in this past year, the increased compensation. It's very positive. It needs to be out there and it needs to be front and center. Hey, this is what we've done, because that shows that we're, putting our, that we value teachers by the compensate. We gave them it was a tremendous and well-deserved increase last year. And I think that needs to be in here very succinctly and not in tons of detail, but I do think it needs to be brought out.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes, ma'am.
I agree, sir.
Oh, okay. On this list that they sent us, do you see anything on here you want to pull out, say for our next meeting and discuss?
I think anything that, because of our priorities, I think anything that has to do with the SROs, I think there was some that were also perhaps in regard to discipline.
Mhm.
So we might want to look at those as well. I think the SRO one's a big one. And then also I know there was mention at the prior meeting in regard to opioids, and something that's just a personal concern of mine is that trickling into our schools, and we know how potent that is and how it can harm students even in the smallest amount. So I know they're giving more flexibility to police officers and first responders in regard to how they deal with that. So I think we should be paying attention to that discussion as well. I don't know if there's any pending legislation relating to school districts for that, but something we need to keep our eye on.
Lily's hands.
Oh,
Thank
sorry.
you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
In looking at the SRO and mental health initiatives, it says by placing school, no, I'm sorry, go back up. School safety is top priority for all stakeholders. The governor has called for an SRO in every school.
Mhm.
They must be funded. However, he doesn't say how they're going to be funded. And if memory serves me, our district pays a portion
Right.
of back then it was like 75%
Mhm.
of the SRO's funding. And then, our county
Yeah.
paid their portion.
Right.
So when they say they must be funded, I think we need to be. have an idea
And
about
a
what
couple
this
have
does.
grants too.
Yeah,
A
grants
couple
and-
of them
Right.
have grants that pay for it.
Right, what this cost would be. I am definitely for more SROs in our schools. I believe in the safety, but I think we need to know what this cost is gonna be.
And
to
there's
do
some,
this.
you're right, and there's, one of these bills says an SRO for every 500 students.
Every
Right.
500
Oh.
students.
Trying to
Yeah.
find-
So,
I
That
tried to
ju-
calculate that, and that would be, I think it's an additional 6 or 7 SROs. Based on the numbers that we looked at
okay,
recently. I think it was gonna be 6 or 7 more if we did have to go down to that every 500 students count. And I know that the state does provide funding for, I think, 2 of our SROs, maybe 3 now. Um,
I'm all for it. I just want to know what that money will look like, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we can do what we need to do.
Mhm.
another point too, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
It's all well and good for us to advocate for them to fund it, and I certainly do ask for them to fund as much of that as possible. But I think we also need to make some type of statement that they need to be forward thinking in the staffing of those positions, because there's also a shortage of individuals that are doing that kind of work. So if there is a way for them to be more innovative in that, or I know we looked at and we are using private security in our elementary schools right now, that needs to be a conversation too. And I know that there is work being done locally to address that. We're just not sure when the fruit of it's going to be available to us.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Rachel, I see there's 2 Senate bills, teachers. There's a teacher bill of rights, SB 202, Fanning to amend the teacher bill of rights. So there is one introduced.
Right. Yeah, I
Yep.
don't know what it says yet, though. I haven't read it.
Parent bill of rights too. Mhm.
Mhm.
So this one we have, okay, thank you.
So what would you like for me to bring to the board on Tuesday? I mean, just the documents that we have in here for today and just put in for continued discussion for Tuesday.
Yeah, yes.
Rachel has her hand up.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, there was 2 more items on the second page of our legislative priorities from 2020. The first one was about basically being held harmless for education funding reform. And then the second one was in regard to pre-kindergarten. I would be in favor actually of advocating, instead of saying that we support state funded full day pre-kindergarten for economically disadvantaged students, I think we need to say for all students.
Right.
I think as many pre-kindergartners as we can get to come through our doors is only going to benefit our system and our community. And it's better for the kids overall, regardless of economically disadvantaged or not. So I would be in favor of saying we just support full day pre-K for all, period.
Okay.
It's a good point. Mhm.
Mhm. Oh, I'm sorry, Tina?
That's okay. So I would agree, Rachel, with that about the pre-K. And then the education funding reform last year, in the last legislative session, this was reformed. And supposedly, we'll see going forward, gives more flexibility to districts on how they spend their money too. So that, I'm sure that this little blurb here would have to be probably updated.
Yeah.
But I agree, the hold harmless part, that's important. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Another meeting and future topics.
Yeah. We don't have to meet every month.
No, do you want me to do you want a meeting with Lynn, for her to?
Yeah,
come and answer
our next
these
meeting should be with her.
Questions? Do you want to meet and just have them send the report of, what you're requesting as what's the rollovers, or do you want me to get a meeting scheduled with the committee and Lynn and for just, what would you all like?
Members, what do you think is best?
I think it depends on when our next meeting is. If we're looking at doing a March meeting, you know, a lot can happen between now and then, but we do want to know which items have some push behind them and if we need to take any action.
Okay.
And in April, you'll have the day at the Capitol.
Yeah.
That's scheduled in April as well, to let you know that would be coming up in April.
Do you have the date on? this, Morgan?
I can look it up right quick.
I got it. I got it here.
I think it might be April 19th.
Mm-hmm.
The Wednesday?
I believe so.
Yep, April 19th.
Yeah.
You're correct.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Campbell, I think it would be really helpful to have Lynn come and maybe not wait until March, but to see if she could come later this month, the second half of this month, to the committee and help craft some of the, like Dr. Wisniewski said, find out what really is going to have legs this legislative session in terms of bills, so we can kind of focus on those and come up with highlights. And then also she could see the 2020 legislative priorities, so she knows kind of how we wrote it out before. I believe Kathy Robine wrote this for us, which was great. And have her help with just crafting it again or tweaking it a little, etc. I do think she's certainly willing to do that. She just needs to get the direction from the committee, and ultimately the board will, say yay or nay to it.
Okay. So what date we have available?
I can call her and ask her when she's available and then start there and then kind of work with you all with her availability.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Is that fine?
Yeah.
Do you all have days that absolutely will not work, like Rachel? Or
Good question. So in February, I mean, I can do almost any day by Zoom. It's just a matter of, the time. I think I look good for the rest of this month generally. So
But
y'all let me know when it's available.
for both of your schedules, it needs to be after 4:30.
I can do during the workday as long as it's not when I'm in carpool line.
Ms.
The
Gordon?
16th, I can't remember.
Okay, right. I know the 16th
And the
the
17th.
17th is the School Boards Association, so none of you all would, I wouldn't
Exactly.
that time. So,
But if you do a day, that's fine. Tell Jacinta to know and I'll make arrangements. This, I've already told them this comes from.
I will contact Lynn and see what her schedule.
Anything else?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And we will adjourn then.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
And I will.